We can record this session so that if any of you are coming in late or any of you happen to miss, the recordings are always available. Belanle will send out oh, there went my video, didn't it? Belanle will be sending out the videos, the links to the videos. And what we're going to do, which is a little bit different, is we're going to send you the link in the email for Zoom. And then we also upload those to YouTube so that you've got, and I've got a playlist for those of you that are familiar with YouTube. I've got a playlist. And what we'll do is we'll upload those to that playlist. And so then if you want to just, go through them, you can do that, but you get immediate access with us using Zoom and giving you that Zoom link. It gets you access a lot sooner. Sometimes yesterday I think it took, with all the processing it took 3 hours to download it and then turn around and upload it to YouTube. So that's why we're going to take that approach. Hopefully everybody got the email from Belanle. If you didn't, let us know in the chat, and we will make sure that you get included in that follow-up email. And if you didn't get the first one, we'll send you both. That's not going to be a problem. Okay, as we talked about yesterday, so here's my contact information. I always put that at the beginning. So if anybody needs it, you've got it. It's always included in the slides, so you can have it as well. You can find it there as well. So yeah, let's move on. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to do an intro. So we're doing that's what I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to jump into InnoPower.ai. And what I'm going to do is, I know there are some questions about InnoPower.ai about some folks evidently had a little bit of a problem getting in. So I'm going to go back and show you how to get in. And then I'm going to take you to our master trainer page. And what that is what we're going to do is we're going to explain in that page. It gives you a good high level of what a master trainer is. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the program that we have in place and what we're trying to do there with our master trainers. Then we'll talk for a few minutes about just recapping the last session to see what, just to kind of bring everybody back to center of what happened and what we talked about. And then we're going to go into the hopes and fears. So I took the hopes and fears that you all submitted. Belanle was kind enough to go through and pull those out of the emails and put them into a document. And then I went through and reviewed them, looked at them, ran some analysis on them, and came up with some interesting insights, which we'll talk about those. What's really interesting about it is that this is the first time we've actually taken the hopes and fears and actually aggregated them together, looked at them, and tried to understand where, as a group, we are and what kind of things we needed to do around that. What kind of things I need to be aware of as we go forward. And a lot of and I'll talk more about this, a lot of the stuff y'all raised was all the hopes and the fears I've known in other classes, in other cohorts, other people I've worked with, and it doesn't matter where they've been located, if they're in Indianapolis, Northern Indiana, Liberia, you all high school students, it really didn't, adults, it really didn't matter. The hopes and fears seem to be consistent. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. And then we're going to dig into prompt engineering, because I've kind of asked you to go do that with the homework assignment, to sit down and brainstorm with AI as using it as your thought partner. Now we want to start getting into a little bit more structure about what prompt engineering is, how you use it, and what have you. Let me just say that prompt engineering is not technical, right? Nothing we're going to do in this course is really technical. Most of it is, almost all of it is just being digitally literate. If you're digitally literate, you know how to copy something out and put it into a Word document, or how to take how to take a PDF and upload it into an AI large language model. Those are the kind of skills you need to have, not be technical and not be able to write code. I like to write code, it's fun, but it's not something that you necessarily have to be able to do. And then we'll dig into the homework, and we'll see where you. I'll remind you of the homework really, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So, are there any questions? Let me check the chat real quick. Good evening. It is evening for y'all, isn't it? Okay. Nothing really there. Okay, good. I did see in the chat that there were a couple of questions again about InnoPower.ai, and we're going to cover that off here real quick. My note taker, sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to share my screen again and go into InnoPower.ai, maybe.
Sorry, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
So I did put a question. I didn't really understand what you were talking about tokens yesterday. When you talked about tokens and then you talked about complex words can be split into multiple tokens. That slide, I wasn't sure what what it meant, so how important it is in what we're studying, all the tokenization stuff.
Are you talking about, was I talking about tokens?
Yes.
Okay. So let me cover that real before I jump into
Okay, thanks.
InnoPower.ai. So tokens, think about tokens as patterns, right? So what is a pattern? And a pattern could be a single word. It could be a series of words together that are commonly used. If I say if it's before 12 p.m., right? And I say good, and I go on to the next, and I leave the next word blank, you're probably going to say morning, right? That's what you think. So it's saying, okay, this phrase, good morning, we're going to treat that as a token. And we're also going to treat good as a token and morning as a token. And then it works on predicting how likely it is. If you say good, is morning most likely to follow? And so we talk about those tokens as being the way that AI measures its input and its output. And those tokens are what allows it to be able to search and identify and predict what the patterns are that you're most likely going to, when you give it a certain amount of input, it's going to predict what you most likely want. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what that's what a token is. And it is a token is the unit of measure that an AI uses. When we talk about, I also went into the fact that if you think about having a blank desktop in front of you and you take your piece of work, your first piece of work for the day, and you do some work on it and you put it on the desktop, and then you take your next piece and you do some work on it and you put it on the desktop, and you keep putting your work on the desktop, at some point you're going to run out of room. And when you run out of room on your desktop, then the next piece of work you've got, when you go to put it on, the first piece of work that you started the day with is going to fall off the desk, right? Automatically adjusts. And so that is the risk with tokens. If you don't know how big your desktop is, how much space do you have, then the risk is that something you're doing is going to fall off the edge. And then when AI needs it, it's going to make something up. And we refer to that as context, the context window. So how much room do I have for my work? Does that help?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. If I ever try to explain something and it doesn't make sense, again, don't hesitate to tell me, because I know how my brain works, and my brain doesn't always work like everybody else's. So don't. So if I say something you don't understand, do not hesitate. It's important that we all understand what we're doing here as we go forward. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. And what I'm going to do is I am going to share again. And this time I am going to go to, maybe, if I did it, let me see if I got it. There it is. Okay. I'm going to go to share button. Come on. It's there. Yeah, it's there. Okay, I'm going to go to, so let me make sure I see what is coming up on my screen. Okay, so I'm at InnoPower.ai. Some of you had problems, I think, trying to get in. I'm not sure why. I do know that it could be that it just bogged down. It could be, but the fact that even though we're a global, we have global networks now, it could be that those electrons that end up having to go from point A to point B, maybe they took too long or they got lost. But here is the way you get in. You type in InnoPower.ai and it should bring you this up and give you this screen. Okay. And so what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to go to get started. You can also go in here and log in. When you go in here and log in, you're going to you're going to click here to log in and put in your email address. I got to get rid of that thing, move that out of the way. You're going to put in your email address and then your password and then click log in. And you can use the I button over here to see your password. So you can do that. And then you can log in. If you have a Gmail account, a Google account, you should be able to log in with your Gmail account. I have invited everybody I have a list of, or I have your email addresses for. I've invited you to the InnoPower.ai site, and I've also given you access to the EchoWise product, that is how I've grouped you all as one large group and given you all the same access, and you have access to everything everything that's in InnoPower. You've got access to it, and in addition, we've also given you unlimited access, so you can do as much with this or as little as you want. If you want to sit there and use it, I've got people that log in and use our tools and use them 50 times a day. And I've got other folks that log in once in a while. Okay. So when you log in, we've got our entrepreneur's roadmap here. And this is just really talking about what an entrepreneur is, what we're trying to do, how we use AI at its core. And then you can sign up to become a certified AI master trainer. When I go to this certified master trainer, let me go, not now on that. Okay, so let me go to this. Okay. Let me shrink this a little bit so you can see it a little better. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay, so when you go to this describes our certified AI master trainer. And what we're doing is, our approach is that we want to help. We want help. We want people who are interested in democratizing AI. And by that, what do I mean? I mean, going out and doing essentially what I'm doing, right? Go out and train some people. And train some people who might not necessarily get a chance to do it because maybe they can't afford it. right? I mean, realistically, some of the training that you can go through um, in the US runs somewhere, can run as much as $2,500 for an AI class, depending on who's teaching it. Ours run about $2,000 because you've got me teaching it. I'm not quite, I'm not a brand name known AI guru around the world, but we believe we've got pretty good training. So that's the training you're getting right now is our is the first start of that $2,000 training for just the AI piece. When you become a master trainer, what we do is rather than asking you to pay, we're asking you to go out and train 20 other people. We'll give it to you for free, but then you have to commit that you're going to go out and train 20 other people. And that's what we want to do with our master trainers is we want people that are going to be willing to go out and train others, right? Share what they've learned. You're going to be able to master prompt engineering. You're going to do AI literacy. We're going to talk about creativity with AI. We're going to talk about ethics and bias. There is a certification assessment that you have to take. And then we're also going to spend 24 hours with you teaching you how to facilitate. You don't wake up one day and you're automatically a trainer. It just doesn't work that way. And educators will tell you that, right? Educated people who are teachers and educators will spend years going to college to learn how to do that. And I don't want to imply that what I'm doing is better or worse. But what we believe is I believe that our training is facilitation, right? Having some conversations, trying to drag people in and get them to talk and to speak and to work together. And so we give you 24 hours of facilitation training as well. The whole course for the master trainer is 48 hours. So it's 24 hours of extended AI training and then another 24 hours of our AI specialist facilitation course. When you're done, you can go out and train 12-hour and 24-hour AI specialist courses. We provide to you the curriculum that you can reuse. You can use it. We support you in what you're doing. I get invited all the time to go to classes to show up, and I do. I love to do that. I love to see how people are training and how they're teaching and the engagement. So you've got our support. You'll be able to reach out to us as we go forward. As we as InnoPower get opportunities, we may have opportunities where we could, need some help, and we might be willing to, or might be able to actually to pay you to help us, depending on what we're trying to do. So that's so that's pretty much the pitch on the AI Master Trainer. And again, the big thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to give access to those people that won't get it straight away, right? And when I think of straight away, I think of entrepreneurs, right? Just starting out, entrepreneurs. I think of people, middle managers who work in small to medium-sized companies. They don't get a lot of professional development training and skills. They don't get a lot of opportunities. So I believe we should do that as we go forward. You can let us know if you want. Do not submit it on this form, but send an email to me or Belanle, preferably Belanle, and she'll be able to talk about. She'll be able to get your name down for our certified master trainer classes. Here's a FAQ that talks about what we do. Notice the program's designed in such a way that anybody can sit through our course, right? Anybody can participate. We don't expect you to have experience. We want you to be able to get an industry certification. So we use CompTIA. For those of you that are somewhat technical, you've probably heard of CompTIA. We use their AI Essentials. The curriculum I'm teaching you in the 24-hour class will allow you to be able to get that certification. And we've had a pretty high success rate in terms of taking that certification. I think we had one person out of the 30 that stuck with our last class. We had one person out of 30 that didn't pass it on the first time, and she passed it on the second time. So I think we do a really good job of getting you ready for that certification. We're going to provide you the materials, right? You can go in and customize them. You can go in and use them. Put your own, you can rebrand them as your own, whatever you want to do. The only thing we ask is that you make sure that you pretty much stick to the curriculum, right? You can add your own exercises. You can insert things. I've got folks who have taken, one lady who's a marketing expert has taken her marketing expertise and built a master class on marketing and AI that she markets out to folks, to entrepreneurs. I've got another lady who is a Lean Six Sigma black belt, if that means anything to anybody. That's mostly manufacturing focused. And she has taken her Lean Six Sigma curriculum that she uses and added AI into it, right? So it's got a mix of both. Again, and extended her class. I think she extended it one day and managed to get all of it in there. So it's a really good opportunity for those of you that are interested to go in and develop potentially another side business, right? Or another business. I wouldn't recommend you quit your full-time job to do that just yet. I expect that at some point things are going to evolve. And, as always happens when we have these big new technology waves, everybody rushes in to do the train, everybody rushes in to make the dollars. And what happens is you get some folks in there that don't have many scruples, and they end up cheapening the training that we're doing, right? For $5.99, you can get this training. That's kind of where we always end up going with training. So it's important. It's good for right now, and you can certainly use it to do that. You can certainly use it to make money if you have the time. Let me check the chat. Wow, we got 5 new messages. Make this bigger. Okay. Okay. I think we've talked about tokens. I hope I've covered that off. Dr. Chenier. I hope I said that right.
Yes. Yes. Tokens done.
Did I say your name right?
You tried.
Well, I'm a work in progress. So
But it's fine.
Can you say it? Because I really do try to say it.
Chinyere.
Chinyere.
Yes, Chinyere.
Okay.
Yes, fine.
Thank you for that.
You've got a pass mark.
And do not hesitate to correct me if I say it wrong. I am not a guy that gets worried about ego. I'd rather do things right than worry about me getting upset because somebody corrected me. So don't hesitate.
It's fine. Thanks, Chris. I understand the token thing now. It's fine.
Okay. I got another one here. Who is this? Emerald. What are we supposed to do when we get into InnoPower.ai? Okay, so Emerald, InnoPower.ai is our platform that we use, that we provide to you for free so that you can start using AI tools and understand how to use them. For example, over here on the left on my screen, you should see there's an image maker. And if I click that, it will come up and it'll tell me that my access is restricted. But you can go in, I can go in when I sign up or sign in, I can go in here and say, create a Pixar version of me, of my picture, and I can upload a picture and it will convert it into a Pixar version. Pixar is like Toy Story. If you've seen the movie, any of the Disney movies, right? It's kind of like that kind of. So there, you can use it for that. You can also. I'm glad you asked that question, Emerald. Down here at the bottom, you can see. Okay, so we've got some AI tools in there, right? There's a technology crystal ball that you can. It's a futurist approach. What is going to happen? What is going to happen to professors at secondary educational institutions in the year 2030? And it will make a guess on what is going to happen, right? It'll make a prediction. We've got some marketing tools in here. Here's a marketing strategy tool that I've created that you can use. Here's an ideal client. If you're trying to figure out who your ideal client is, you can use that. Unique value proposition. What makes you special? What makes your company special? If you're in business, and you can read the rest of them. Here's a landing page copy. So if you got a website, you can go in and do it. One of the things I like is this copy hackers that you can see right here. That it is. So what I did is I went out and I took some content and I trained a chat bot on the copywriter's style of how they write their blog posts. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to show that I could train a model. And so that's why I did that, right? You can do that. So this copy hacker site, right? When you go in here, oh, come on, Zoom keeps getting in the way. So what do you want to write? Write copy for a new AI class on agentic AI. So you could go in here and have it write the copy for your website. You could go in here and use it to write a copy for a brochure that you've got. My first cohort of students that we had them write. I had them put together a GPT Black community. So we created a GPT that is focused on the African American community here in the U.S. And they gave us some really good input. It was tested. So we created something that spoke to their culture. There's more here. There's all kinds of stuff here. Here's conversations. Here's one that I'm particularly proud of. Don't ask me why I'm proud of it, but you want to talk to a prominent Nigerian. Here you go. I've got 15 famous Nigerian people, and I asked them to. I wanted to say, all right, I want to have a conversation with Tomeke Adeoye. What grade level are you in? I'm in 6th grade. This is always dangerous, by the way. Technology never works when you got a bunch of people watching. Yes. So I had mentioned, I believe yesterday, that you could use AI to help you prepare for a job interview. This is not a job interview. I originally created this so that a student could go in and talk to somebody famous. And so, what do we want to hear? How they started their business. So it literally will go through and have a conversation and tell you about them. And as well, you can talk to them and ask them questions. There are a bunch of business tools. There's several business tools in here that you can go in. How do you delegate? Here's a custom email signature. Here's a prompt creator that I made. Of course, you can't use it in this class, right? You can't use it to create prompts, but you could. I don't care. But it is you go in here and you ask it, I'd like to create a prompt to create a outline for a course. And it will go through and it will, rather than you having to figure out all the things you want in it, it will go through and figure out what it deems to be the best prompt it could make for creating a course. So you can go in and use that if you so choose. The other thing that is I'm pretty excited about is that we've also made access, given you access to all of these chatbots. These are literally going to the chat. These are literally going to the various chatbots. Like this one right here, Grok 4, it's going to Grok 4. It's going to use the Grok 4 model. There's a couple here with OpenAI. There's another one. This is ChatGPT 5. Here's one with Claude Sonnet. There's some more down in here that you can go back and use if you'd like. And then there are advanced chatbot models, which here's DeepSeek, right? The famous Chinese Chinese large language model that was going to displace all of the other language models in the world. Well, it didn't quite work out that way, but here you can get access to this. And here's Claude. Here's another version of Claude. So you can use this as a way of going in and actually talking to AI, and you don't have to pay a subscription, right? Right now it's for free. We made it available for the course. We wanted to give you an opportunity to be able to access AI and not worry about, oh my gosh, I got a free account. I've done 4 things and I can't do anything else for the rest of the day. This is InnoPower's way, our way of democratizing AI, getting you familiar with it. At some point, we're going to charge for this, but when we charge for it, it's going to be how does Emil say that? Pretty much location based. Let's put it that way. And by that, what do I mean? It's going to be higher for somebody that's in the U.S. versus it's going to be much cheaper for somebody that happens to be in Nigeria or Liberia or whatever. We want to make it cost effective. So you get access to all these tools for $7-8 US a month. And you get access to all of it. Whereas if you had to go buy a subscription to some of these models, you'd spend $20 just buying one. We love your feedback, and we will go in and take that feedback and try to add tools to it that make sense, right? That make sense and will improve your productivity. InnoPower.ai has the ability that you can talk to it. So you can go in here, or I'm sorry, this one has the ability to upload a file. So if you've got a PDF that you want to use, you can upload that PDF and say, what is this document? And it will tell you what that document is. You just got it to read it. And then you can say, write a summary of this document. And it will write a summary of that document for you. If you can say, pull out the major learning points in this, it will do that. If you could say, make a course outline from this book, it can do that. So the tool gives you the ability that you can do quite a bit for very little cost, and that's our goal. That's how we want to democratize AI. And I'm very proud, as you can tell, I'm very proud of the fact that Emil let me build this and then has continued to support it. So it's a pretty cool tool, I think. Are there any questions? I'll check the chat here. Sorry, I've only got one screen, so I have to literally go open another screen and get to the chat. Cool. Good to hear. Okay. Thanks for the unlimited access. Yeah, don't tell Emil that. I'm kidding. He knows. But yeah, you're welcome, right? I mean, use it. Like I said, take advantage of us. Use it as much as you want right now. We really believe that it is believe and hope that this tool is going to give us the ability to share what we know with more people than what you would normally get, than most people would normally get access to. So there we go. I got Monday is interested in becoming a certified master trainer. They should, so Shippy, I think, ask, hi Chris, will all the tools be available to us as currently they're locked? They should be available to you. I checked right before I came into class and I made sure that all the tools were available. So if they're not, when we take the break, I can go in and fix that. Yep. So I got somebody else. Okay. So I need to go look at something. Would the AI not store the data uploaded to it and open it to others? That's a good question, Boonmi. Will it store the data? Because we're passing prompts back and forth to the AI engines, it will. We have been talking to one of our partners to make sure that doesn't happen. What you want to try to do is a lot of people have gone in and said, okay, I'm going to do AI. I'm going to upload all my personnel files and I'm going to try to do some analysis on them. And I'm not going to do anything to make the data unidentifiable, meaning people, they're going to know who it is if they get in. You do not, with AI, you don't quit your cybersecurity rules, right? You don't just upload private information or health information up into the cloud or any proprietary information. If you've got a patent pending, you don't want to upload the design documents for whatever you're applying for your patent for, or if you've got a patent for that matter, you don't want to upload the design documents. I think a lot of people too think that what they have is so unique that they can't possibly risk anybody else getting it. And for most of us, I think that's kind of an overblown risk. I think I'm working with a large pharmaceutical company, and that's why I'm in the office, and I'll be in here tomorrow too. And they got patents on molecules, right? That are what is really the foundation of medicine. And so they've got these patents on these molecules. I would not upload those. But in terms of if I have a marketing strategy, my marketing strategy is just as good or just as bad as everybody else's. So I wouldn't worry about things like that. I wouldn't upload my personal financial information or anything they could use to go, take my name and go buy cars or anything like that. I wouldn't do that, but I would be a little bit less secretive than what most people are, I think. The idea that somebody's going to find your data out of the billions and billions of records that are out there and be able to know it's you, it's pretty slim, right? But just to be cautious, I wouldn't load any personal information, any financial information, any secret information that I've got. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't use that. Um, Chat GPT will say we delete it within 30 minutes if you say so. So it's only going to be out there for 30 minutes. And some of the other models they will not train on it, but your data is still out there. The individual sitting in a cubicle somewhere that has access to your data, that's still a possibility. No matter what people say, that's always a possibility. So be careful when you do it. Hope that helps. Blondlay's here. Thank you, Blondlay. Okay. What security feature does the app have? So the way we work the app is you sign up for the app, and you're going to a secure website like you would any other website. And then you're allowed, and then you've got access. We turn with kids and things like that, we turn off the training and the tracking. It's kind of a catch 22, right? If I don't track you, then AI can't get to know you. If I do track you, there's always a security risk. But with us, we're using HTTPS. It's a secure website. They've had a SOC 2 and a SOC 7 security audit for the company we're using to help us with that website and host it. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Let's see. Yes, please do contact Blondlay. The form that's on there is not good. Blondlay, if you're there, Blondlay, if you're there, I told them that they need to send you an email if they're interested in becoming a master trainer. So if you could take those emails, add them to the list, I would really appreciate it. Okay. So I've kind of killed InnoPower.ai. I've talked quite a bit about it. So, and there'll probably be more coming up. Today's topic will be prompt engineering. And when you see Chris Daly and I'm responding, that's usually Blondlay. That's not me. So, my partner in crime. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing that and I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. It's right there. So let's go. Here, got some gymnastics. Yes, we have a hand raised. Do you want to go ahead? Omobolo?
Oh, so sorry. I've already explained in the chat. It's about accessing what's it called? Somebody was struggling to I don't know.
Was it
Anyway, I've explained in the
InnoPower.ai?
chat room that they just need to upgrade, click on upgrade, and then pick something into the basket, and then it takes them through the whole thing. Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to explain that. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for contributing. That's a good tip for them. Kindly repost the Google form. Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump back here. Blondlay's all over the messages. Okay. So we've covered InnoPower. So next I'm going to cover, let's talk about the hopes and fears. So I'm going to give you a second to read it. I'll give you a couple minutes to read it. And give me a thumbs up when you're done. Okay. So we're in this kind of, let me back up. So Blondley took all the emails, all the hopes and fears that you had, extracted them out of your emails and put them in a document for me to go through and look at. So I went through and scanned it and looked at them, read most of them. And then I used AI to go through and summarize what it saw. And that's what you see here. The main thing that you all want to do is we all want to amplify our abilities. We want to be more efficient. We want to make more money. We want to be more creative. We want to do a better job. But there's also this fear in the back of our mind that we're going to lose our job, that we might be cognitive laziness, right? That we might get lazy mentally because we're not having to create things. We're not having to use our brain as much because AI substitutes for it. And then irrelevance. Our top hopes, you've read that. We all hope that it's going to help us. It's going to help us create books. It's going to help us be confident to teach others. You're right now, after today, you'll probably know more than 95% of the population. Let me say that again. You'll know more than 95% of the population just by what we've covered in the last 2 sessions. And how can I say that? Because most people come at this and they hack away at it, right? They go in and they say, all right, I'm going to go into ChatGPT. And they just start doing stuff. There's no method to their madness. They don't understand what it means to be iterative and incremental. They don't understand what it means to have what role are you, who's your audience for this particular thing that you're doing with it? Is it you? Is it your kids? Is it all kids? Is it all adults? Is it all adults that live in Lagos, Nigeria, that attend a university? What is it, right? And just like in marketing, the more we can segment down and narrow our focus, the more effective we're going to be. And so that is an opportunity for you all. The top fears, job displacement, right? This is kind of a repeat of the main message. Job displacement and irrelevance. You've probably heard this saying before, and I wish I was the one who was smart enough to come up with it. And I'm not, but I'm not. And the statement is this: AI is not going to replace you. People that know AI are going to replace you, right? So you are, as I said, you're going to know more than 95% of the population. And you're doing that because you're investing in yourselves right now. And so just by going through this class and applying what you're doing will put you light years ahead of other folks. Now, that doesn't mean that you're done. This is really the start of your journey, right? For those of us that have been on a journey so far, AI is an opportunity to start another journey and maybe to catch up in some ways, right? If we've been behind financially, maybe intellectually, maybe access wise, maybe because of where we live, we suddenly have this tool available to us that allows us to catch up. And so, I hope that you come out of this workshop, this series of workshops, with still having this fear. I have this fear today, right? It's going to put me out of a job someday. I have it. It's there, but it's not as big a fear as it was 2 years ago when I was first getting started, right? That's really kind of what got me going was, oh my gosh, I've got 5-6 years before I can retire. Is this going to wipe out? Is this going to make it really difficult for me to retire? So I got engaged and I started moving on it. And it may still make it hard for me to retire at some point, but guess what? At least I'm moving in the general direction. I'm not fighting it. I want you to understand too, from a critical insight standpoint, right? You're training multipliers. You were picked for this course because you're a multiplier, because you're going to go out and you're going to train others. You're going to go out and help people in your communities. And I don't mean community, you happen to live in this city or this suburb or this little conclave inside the city. I mean, you're going to go help your community. And community could be, bankers. It could be in my university. It could be in my government. It could be if I'm in city government. It could be in my department. You're going to be able to have an impact. If you're religious, you go to church or you go to your mosque, right, on a regular basis. You can go in and help people because you know that. That's one of the things that I'm really proud of this first group of master trainers that I had the opportunity to participate with. They went out and they're training in churches. They're training people in their communities that don't normally get that opportunity. And I think it's important that we think about that as we go forward, right? Not only are we going to do it for ourselves, but we're going to do it for those around us, right? And really have an opportunity to help improve, those around us, help them understand how important this is and improve themselves. And then the last part, right? It's telling me that I need to be aware of the amplifier versus replacement question. You're going to have, one of the things I hope you get out of this is that you become more confident with AI because you go out and you use it. In a couple, I want to say on Monday's session next week, after that, one of the homework assignments is going to be, I'm going to have you go download a publicly available database or a publicly available data set and ask you to go in and query it, right? Go in and look at it, interrogate it, validate it. You've got hard data there that you can then go in and ask AI and you can double check it. I encourage you to double check AI and double check what it's doing. It is a prediction machine. It is not a fact generating 100% accurate machine, right? AI is just not that way. And so as you become more comfortable with AI and as you do more work with it, you'll have the opportunity to validate it. And that will tell you, yeah, it's got problems. And if I check these things, I'm good. I can get past that, right? So I hope this helps. I hope this helps you. I was talking back and forth, texting back and forth with Belangley before the course and before we started today. And I was pretty impressed by what I came up with. Now, I say I came up with, right? I mean, I used AI to do it, and Belangley did all the hard work for me. She put it all together. But it's pretty powerful, I think, in what it can do. And I hope that you will I hope that as we go forward, you'll think about what your fears are and what your hopes are, and pursue those. Enhance your hopes, right? Achieve the things that you want out of it, and then crush those fears, right? Get past those so that there are other things that we're focused on. Okay, I'm going to jump off my soapbox. Okay, let me check. There's one new chat message. Let's see what it is. Okay, it's blonde lady. Cool. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to move pretty quick. So let's talk about prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is one of those terms that is misleading, I think. When they talk about engineering, when I think of engineering, I had two brothers that were electrical engineers. I was a computer engineer when I graduated from college. You know, when you think of engineering, you think of I think of very technical, very detailed, right? Very specialized in what we're trying to do. And when we talk about so in the terms of prompt engineering, it can scare some folks to say, oh, I'm not sure I want to get into that. Prompt engineering is really about asking questions. It's really about asking the right questions that will lead you to where you want to go, and using AI not just as an answer machine, but as a thought partner. How am I going to use this how's this going to help me as I go forward? You know, and it's important you think about it that way. You got a presentation coming up. What are you going to do? What's your topic? You can use AI to do that, and you can use it to give you the ideas, and maybe even give you some sections, and ultimately get to slides, right? You can do that if you want to do that. Using it as a thought partner helps make sure that we are sticking to the human-centered AI. We're not doing the copy paste thing, right? We're not going to just copy whatever it gives us and paste it in and go. I saw an article. Actually, my buddy Harrison Painter posted on LinkedIn. He found an article where they were talking about a newspaper that somebody had literally taken the text from one of the chat bots, ChatGPT, say, and pasted it in. And then when they did that, they left in the bottom little thing that it usually says I can do this and this and this for you. What would you like for me to do? They left it in and just pasted it into the article. Right? We don't want you to be that way. We want you to be using it in a way that helps augment you, that makes you even more productive and better than it is, because it's got you involved. So it's prompt engineering, as I said, it's really kind of an art and a science. It's one of those things where yes, there's certain things you need to do, but you also kind of have to, you're also at times making it up as you go, right? You have to balance your creativity with precision. If you give it too much information, it's going to be very prescriptive. It's going to give you exactly what you asked for, or what it thinks you're asking for. If you don't give it enough, it's going to give you way too high level, right? And so you have to think about it in that way. You have to ask questions. You want to think about when you're designing your prompts, you want to think about what you're trying to get out of it. Are you trying to get a formatted PDF out of it, or a Word document? Are you trying to get a table, a comparison table? Are you trying to get a graph? Are you trying to get an image? What is it you're trying? Are you trying to get a marketing strategy? What is it you're trying to get? And so it's from a design standpoint, you need to understand that you're going to have prompts, or you're going to do things where you want a lot of creativity. You're going to do other things where you want it to be really specific. I want a plan that does this, right? As opposed to, I want you to give me 5 creative titles for my book that's focused on this, right? There I'm asking it for 5 different titles. I'm asking for creativity. I'm asking it to write a marketing strategy for me. That's very specific, right? So you have to balance it depending on what your needs are. I mentioned this. I disagree with, I wrote this, but now that I look at it again, I'm not sure I agree with that. There's some computer science, I would call it digital literacy, right? Being able to understand what a PDF is, being able to understand how you copy and paste, those kind of things. There's a little bit of computer into it if you really get into it, but for most of us, we're never going to get that deep. So why does it matter? That's an interesting one, right? Why does it matter? It improves prompt engineering. If you follow a strategy, it improves your accuracy by 75%. It reduces your errors by 60%. And it also allows you to be more complex and creative as you create your applications, as you create your custom GPTs, because you have structure to it. So and what I'm going to show you here in a few minutes is that how do we apply structure and yet still be creative? And so we're going to talk about that here in a few. So this is called, the first thing I'm going to cover is the CLEAR framework. Now, let me just say there's a bazillion. I'm sorry, shouldn't use that word. There's a lot of different frameworks that are out there. And you just need to figure out what framework you're comfortable with starting out. I don't use frameworks because I've written so many prompts and done so much with it that I know to include all these things in it. So I don't have to use a framework. But you can start out by using a framework. And in the CLEAR framework, you want to provide detailed background information so that AI knows what it's doing. What's the context of this? Right? I have a hot dog. Is a hot dog a dog that's very, very hot out in the sun, or is it something we eat? You want to provide some context. I was doing some work the other day, and I was doing some work, and I came across the term pickaxe, and I wanted to make sure that pickaxe was something that was relevant to what I was doing. So I Googled pickaxe, and I was thinking it was going to come up with a picture of a pickaxe, literally a pickaxe being an actual physical product. What it came back with is a pickaxe, but from the game Minecraft. And you have to be very clear about what you're looking for, right? In terms of what your context is. Am I in a video game? I probably want a Minecraft pickaxe. If I'm talking about, digging out a hole or tearing out a shrub or trying to break rock, I'm probably going to want a real physical pickaxe. So you want to provide that context. If just taking a step further, if I'm an attorney, I may want to have a certain framework. I want it to be, you are a paralegal with an understanding of complex accident liability cases. That's pretty specific. You are a software developer working in a pharmaceutical company that is regulated, and you are using TypeScript, and your data store is Mongo. That's a lot of technical stuff, right? But I'm giving it specific things. If I'm a history teacher at a university, the context is, as a history teacher at a major university, focused on early Egyptian pets, for lack of a better term, I want da 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 da, right? I got very specific. I laid out because I was looking for a very specific thing. You lay that out, and then it will give it to you back. The next part of the CLEAR framework is length. So when we talk about length, what are we talking about? If you're writing a paragraph, I want a 500-word paragraph. I want a 1,000-word paragraph. I've got a description I want that can be no more than 500 characters. I'm writing a video script, and I want it to be no longer than 10 minutes. Expectations is the next one. So what tone do you want? I want it to be instructional. I want it to be educational. I want it to be lighthearted. I want it to be funny. I want it to be happy. I want it to be sad. I want it to be angry. I want it to be professional. I want it to be condescending, right? Whatever format and tone you're talking about, what are you expecting? I'm expecting a PDF. I'd like for you to create this content and put it in a PDF. Or I'd like for you to create this content and put it in a copy-paste format. Being very clear, very specific requirements on what do you expect. Audience. What do we mean by audience? This is the part where I'm getting tired of talking. So I'm going to take a drink of my coffee, and you can all take it offline. Hopefully somebody will take it offline and answer the question. What do I mean by audience? Okay, I'll start calling on people. Always like this. Takaya? What do you think? What do I mean by audience? Persons you are creating the content for, your niche market. There we go. You're all going crazy in the chat. Okay, target group. Yep. Niche market. Okay, good. So in your current job or in your current business, what's your audience? SME business owners, youth. There we go, Ann Taylor. It's my favorite category. Management team, child justice sector. Ooh, that's a good one. Stakeholders. That's another good one. Communities. What kind of a communities, Amelia? Women in construction. Mining host communities. Okay. Thanks, Amelia. Employees, parents, and elementary school children. Madupe, you should talk to me because we're in the same category here. Health, there we go. Youth entrepreneurs. So you all know what your audience is, right? You have to if you're in business. You have to understand that. So if you're focused on youth entrepreneurs, what level are you going to write at? What level are you going to try to communicate to them with? You're probably, depending on the youth, the age of the youth, it might be 6th to 8th graders, right? It might be 12 to 14. If we're talking about folks that are getting close to being ready to go to university, right? That's a different audience than a student that's at university. A management team and third parties. Those two management team and third parties, those might be two separate audiences, depending on what you're trying to do. Middle to high income earners. So you understand what your audience is. So when you go in to write your prompts, you want to go in and say, here's who I'm writing for. And I'll pick on the one before it. Where was it? Management team and third parties. You're going to write differently to your management team than you are to third parties, right? And so you may go in and have two separate tools or two separate sets of prompts that you use for them, setting the tone, identifying the need. The needs of management are different than the needs of your third party. Even within third parties, you may have segregation above and beyond that, right? You might have small to medium enterprises and then large enterprises. So having that audience or that role is important. In marketing terms, we call that a persona, right? Who's our audience? What are their likes, their dislikes? What are their pain points? The more of that you share with AI, the better off it's going to be, the better it's going to provide you the results that you're looking for. Let's see here. Okay. And then the last one is refinement. I've talked about this. I've talked about iterative and incremental. So when you start out, you may not have the perfect prompt that you want to use, right? You may say, you know what? I want to create a course for people that are just now exiting the criminal justice system, right? Reentering society. And so you start out with creating a prompt for that. And then you turn around and you say, okay, now that I've created a prompt for that, I look at it and I go, that's not quite right. That's not what I wanted. I'm going to tweak this. I'm going to do that. And so you're going to refine it. You're going to, based on the outcomes that you get, the output that you get from your AI models, you're going to turn around and say, tweak this, do that. You may even say, forget everything you've learned. I'm going to start over. Right? That we call refinement. And what we're talking about there is iterative and incremental. I'm going to build something. I'm going to look at it. Does it meet my needs? No. Okay, I'm going to add something to it or subtract something from it. And I'm going to do it in small pieces so that I can understand what's changing, right? If you completely tell it, if you give it a laundry list of stuff to redo, when it doesn't work, you're going to have to go through line by line by line and figure that out. If you put them in, if you say, all right, let's fix this piece of it first, it's going to go through and it will give you that change. It will make that change for you. You can look at it. Does that work the way I want it to? Yes. Okay, now let's go on and make another change and another change and another change. That refinement is important. Doing that is important because you're not going to just sit down and write the perfect prompt. No matter how much people want to say that, and the internet's all abuzz about writing the perfect prompt and this, that, and the other. you can't do, nobody can do that, right? The question is, are you able to do this on the InnoPower AI platform? If yes, which option should we use? Good question. You can use the chat bots to do that, right? It's down, if you remember, it's down on the left, and you can pick the one you want to use. I'd suggest you pick one and then use it and continue to use it and get good at it. Once you get good at it, then you can move on to other ones. And there are certain benefits to each one. Claude is really good at writing software, writing plugins, writing HTML code, writing complex prompts, even. It's really good at that. ChatGPT is more, in my opinion, is more kind of audience based, right? It's kind of the whole world. It takes a shot at doing everything. And it does some things really well, and it doesn't do other things as great. And so it depends on how you're using it, right? These models take different, to the question in the chat, do these models all use the same number of tokens? And no, the answer to that is no, they don't. They're all built, each model is built differently. It's built by a different individual. They have their own pricing structure. They have their own way that they manage their tokens and define their tokens. They all do it basically the same way, but they have their nuances that make it different. Going back to the shameless plug for InnoPower.ai, you don't have to worry about that. You're going in and it's free. I encourage you to use any of the models that are in there. This is your opportunity to figure out which ones you like and which ones you don't like. So feel free to use those. Yeah, I know that it says that. I'm going to fix that here in a minute when we take a break. It says on the website, it all says access restricted. I'll fix that right here. And I'm going to give us an opportunity to take a break here in about a couple minutes. And then I'll dig back in and I'll go out during the break and I'll fix it and we'll come back and make sure it works. Okay. Got to switch screens here. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay. So that's the clear framework. And here's an example for you, right? You've got your initial prompt, right, about quantum computing. You're going to get a pretty high level conversation on that, right? If you're looking for breakthroughs, right, maybe that's the next thing you do. You can read through this, right? See how each prompt gets a little bit more specific, right? Depending on what you're trying to do. And that's the interesting thing about prompting and prompt engineering is if you're iterating, you can get some really good stuff. If you saw some of the prompts that I've got there, some of the prompts I've got right now, I have one that's 487 lines of stuff, and it does a lot, and it does it really well. I didn't get there. I didn't sit down and crank that sucker out just by typing it, right? I went in, iterated on it, said, I want to do this. I want to do that. I like this. I don't like that. And built out this long prompt. And I think it took me 4 or 5 hours to get it the way I want it. It was an important prompt. But it's worth it if you're going through and trying to do it. The other part of it too is once you write a prompt like that, write a 300-word technical summary about recent breakthroughs in quantum computing, blah, 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 blah. Right? You've got an example of a prompt that's pretty detailed. So what happens if you want to write a 1,000-word technical summary about recent breakthroughs in biomedical devices developed in the US, right? You're going to use a similar prompt like that. You're going to, sorry, I went forward. So you use a similar prompt like that, and it will give you and you save that. You begin to start thinking that way, right? That's what's really cool is as you start iterating, this becomes a lot more detailed up front because you're starting to think about all these different pieces, right? You're starting to think about this clear framework. If you're doing anything, right, you start with analysis. Just use it to brainstorm. You can use it to start thinking about what topics might be good here. Review my topics and make 3 suggestions of things that I hadn't that are in tangent complementary ideas to this one idea, right? You can use it using clear, you can go in and do multiple variations by just changing one. You write the prompt in a structured way, then you go in and change one thing and see what it does. See if it gives you a better result. You can decompose complex tasks, right? So you start with something big. I want to write about quantum computing, and then you start breaking it down. It gives you a bunch of stuff. And you go, that's too much. You can break it down into a series of tasks to get what you need. And because you're doing it iteratively and incrementally, you're building on whatever it was that came before. So you don't have to keep redoing the prompt. You don't have to keep re-entering the prompt and changing. You can say, okay, I like what you've put out. Please go through and minimize the use of bullet points. And it will go through and do that. It will go through, and if you want to get rid of the words furthermore and moreover, humanize your output. We haven't talked about humanize yet. Humanize your output, which gives it kind of a more of a human feel rather than being a rhythmic approach to writing. It's a little bit shorter sentences, a little bit less rhythm to it, makes it sound a little bit more human-like. You can go in and do those things as you iterate on it. Okay, before I go into Spark, why don't we take a 5-minute break, and I'll start back up at 2:30. We'll start back with some questions, see what questions we got. I'll check the chat during the break. I'll also go in and fix the tool so that you're all good to go. And then when we come back from the break, we'll jump in, we'll make sure everybody's got access to the tools, and then we'll jump in and talk about Spark and wrap up for the day. Sound good? Based on, okay, good. All right, well, let's go do that. I'm gonna stop sharing right now. Okay, we'll see you in 5 minutes.
Bravo. Bravo. Bravo.
Okay. Here we are. We're in the home stretch today. So let's carry on. So next we're gonna, let me see if there's any questions first in the Zoom chat. Okay. Tells me my internet's unstable, of course. Cool. Okay. All right. Nothing in the chat, so let's get going here. I'll share my screen again. Where is it? Oh, I got it. That's right. All right, so there it is. It's coming. I'm gonna share that wherever it went. There it is. Okay. Okay. Sorry it took me a minute there. So let's talk about the next method, right? So the next method we're going to talk about is what's called Spark. And the only reason I'm showing you this one is because you'll notice that it's similar to Clear, right? Instead of context, it says specific. Purpose, right? What's my purpose? What is it I'm trying to accomplish? What's my audience? We talked about audience quite a bit, right? We talked about it being a persona. You all know who your audience is for your businesses or for your jobs, right? Or whatever you're thinking about using AI, you know what your audience is. What are the rules? And then what are the key details? Very similar to what Clear was. Very, very similar. You know, I like it. I like the frameworks, but again, once you start using the framework, you can go in and it'll become second nature for you on how to do that. And that's when it really starts. You can really start making it, so to speak, sing, right? You can start making it go because you know better and better and better what to ask. And the only way you do this, the only way you get better at this is to actually use it. You know, if we talk about mastery, what is it when we're trying to master something? What is it we have to do? We have to do it, right? We have to do it once, and we're going to do it simple, and then we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to keep learning, and we're going to keep practicing and building up knowledge and building up skills. You know, if we're trying to run a marathon, we don't go out and run a marathon, just take off and start running, right? Some people might, but they very well might drop dead, right? From whatever, right? Heart attack, strained legs, collapse, whatever, right? You just don't do that. You go in and you actually go in and you actually, you actually start out running a block or two, right? And then you go from there. And once you've done that, once you've run a block or two, then you're going to do more and you're going to do more and you're going to build up to that 26.2 miles, I think it is. You're going to build up to that. And that's kind of the way this is. You need to get really good at this, you got to use it, right? It's not something you can just do once a month and be good at. So use it, try to use it, try to figure out how it works, be iterative and incremental, be patient. And I think you're going to find that you're going to get really good at this really quick. So here's a practical example, right? Write without Spark, write marketing copy for our new product. Right? Win-win synergy. As opposed to with Spark, right? Write compelling B2B marketing copy for our new AI analytics software. Highlight cost savings and efficiency. Follow brand. I got to move a box here. Follow brand voice guidelines. Include CTA for free trial. What you got on the right is a whole lot better than what you got on the left, right? What's left is interesting given what little you gave it. But you either hit it out of the park or you've missed completely, right? There's no real, it's just kind of a guess. Whereas with the one on the right, you're giving it, what are you giving it, right? You're saying what you want it to do. You're saying about what. You're talking about the things that are good, right? That you want to highlight. You're telling it the rules, follow the branded guys, and you're telling it what to include. Include a CTA for a free trial, right? Much better outcome. When you're using frameworks, there are some technical considerations. And we don't really need to worry about this first one right now. Model variations. So different models, and I talked about this earlier, different models do different things better. Claude is much better at technical, writing code, writing HTML, doing things that look like they're very constructive, right? That it's got consistency all the way through. ChatGPT is more of a fun tool, not a fun tool, but more of a softer tool, right? Where you're going to be doing content writing. You want to understand what the token limitations are of each. How do you do that? You ask it, what are your token limit? What are the token limitations for you, right? In your model, just ask it. How big are your context windows? You can ask it that, right? You can ask it, how big is your context window? The bigger the content window, the more data it can store, potentially the more it's going to cost you too, right? So just another thing to think about there. And then API integration. As we go forward, and as this continues to evolve, you're going to see more and more integrations into these models. Today, you can tie Google Drive to ChatGPT. You can tie Dropbox to Claude. You can access Microsoft, you can access make.com or Zapier.com, which are no code, low code automation tools. You can generate PDFs. You can interface to Notion. There's so much you can do with this that, the API integration is going to get better and better. There's a new integration technique that's coming in, that's been around for about a year now and is really starting to take hold, and that's called MCP, which is Master Content something program, I think. And basically what it does is it makes the API integration easy, right? It makes it easier for you. So as we go forward, you're going to see these tools become more and more integrated and more beneficial. You're going to see it, instead of it taking this much of my workflow, it's going to be able to do this much of my workflow, right? It's going to be able to do a lot more. Let's see, anything else? Nope. So some of the common prompt engineering challenges. We've talked about bias and we talked about ethical use yesterday. We talked a little bit about hallucinations, right? Hallucinations are where basically AI lies to you, was the term that one of my students used on me once. AI lies to me. So that's what hallucinations are. So fact check your outputs, right? Request it to give you citations. What are your sources for this? Include footnotes and sources where you're pulling information from. Consistency. If you ask it the same question twice, you may get two different answers, right? Just because you've worded the prompt differently. You could have two different people with the same prompt, entering it at the same exact time and get two different answers. Not different fundamentally, but different. It's different wording, different links, those kind of things, right? The best you can do is start working toward templating your proven prompts. And we'll talk about how you do that in a subsequent session. I think that's going to be Tuesday of next week. We'll talk about how you can template your prompts so that you don't have to go back and recreate them all the time and make it easy for yourself. So those are some of the common challenges, right? Bias management. You need to be aware that it's got, that it will have biases and that it will generate things. It will make assumptions. And not all those assumptions it makes are going to be right or going to be accurate. Ethical use, right? Be sure you're using it for ethical reasons, right? Consider what the impacts are going to be. It's important to have safeguards. If you've got company data that is proprietary, don't put it in AI or make it obscure so that you're removing the details so that you can use, so that somebody just looking at it can't really tell what it is, right? Make sure that you've got ethical guidelines for your organization in terms of how are you going to use AI. Where I'm at today, I'm on my own computer, but on their computers, when I'm using their computers, I cannot take an SOP, a standard operating procedure. I can't take that and just upload that to any chatbot, right? Because they consider that proprietary information. So make sure that you as an organization have an AI policy on how, an AI use policy on how that's going to work. What do you want that to be? And again, each organization is going to be different. Some are going to be more aggressive and say, hey, have at it. Others are going to say, you know what? We need to take this slowly. We need to be careful with this. We need to make sure that we're pragmatic about it. There's no right or wrong answer, in my opinion, on that, but you need to make sure that your ethics policy is something you're comfortable with, and it gives you, it calls out what the risks are that you're taking, right? Because you don't want to just say, well, here's our AI policy, and somebody takes it at its word to the letter of the way it's written, and then it causes a problem because there's a gap in it, right? It's about the spirit of using. I go back and tell people all the time, use your judgment. Don't throw out your cybersecurity best practices because you're using AI, right? You wouldn't go out and upload company information that's secure. You wouldn't necessarily go out and load that on some startup company's new AI tool that you're unaware of how they use it, right? And what their security policies are. That same applies here. Be careful and understand where your data can go and what it can be used for. Tools. So we're going to cover some tools as we go. We talked about InnoPower today. Next week or tomorrow, I'm going to talk about Gamma. And we're going to talk about it. And Gamma, for those of you that do a lot of PowerPoints or a lot of presentations, Gamma will change your life. It's a pretty bold statement, right? Will change your life. And that's not, I don't have a vested interest in it, but I can tell you that it has really changed how I do things. So it's got a free account. So we'll talk about that. So here's some industry applications on prompt engineering, right? Code generation, debugging, and documentation in the software business. You can use it to write content. You can use it to write articles and editing, ideate books. You can take a document and grab that you've written and bring it up to date really quickly. You can take information and fill it out, get access pretty quickly. I can take in a spreadsheet and I can go in and start asking it questions in a matter of seconds that would have taken me hours to get everything set up right? Just because it deals with unstructured data very, very well. You can read the rest of them, I think. Yep, okay. Future. So multimodal prompting, where you're doing 2 or 3 different things at the same time. If you think about a book, you're going to do your book and you're going to do your front cover, your back cover. You're going to have a title page, a copyright page. You're going to have, table of contents. You could have multiple prompts to do each one of those that run in sequence, right? You could go in this automated prompt optimization, the second bullet there. You can do that today, but it's not automated. You can ask one of the AI tools, hey, look at my prompt. Give me 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses. And then make some suggestions on how we can correct those weaknesses. And it will come back and give you those. And then it'll ask you, do you want me to make them? It'll make it for you. You just have to say, yes, I want number 1 and number 3. And it will do that for you. And you can have it help you be your thought partner on how to do that. There are specialized roles where you've got people who are prompt engineer experts. At pharmaceutical company that I'm at, they've got a couple people that are experts at writing prompts because they're doing some generative AI. They write those prompts and they have to take into account if they write a prompt that's bad, it might take 50,000 tokens, and they're running on millions of records, so they're very concerned about that. So they will be cognizant of how efficient prompts are. So you may have specialized roles, and then you'll have domain specific languages. You think about chemistry or physics. They've got very specific languages that they use. And so we may start to see the evolution be that we get very specific commands that will do what they need to do, that will be only used in those domains. We talk about mastery, right? So you get your foundation knowledge, you build your skills, practical application, specialization. We're going to try and get you through 3 of these 4 as we go. For this first step, we're doing foundational building right now. You're starting to do skill building. We've exposed you to frameworks. We've given you access to various AI applications. You're getting practical experience. We'll talk about your homework here in a minute. And then from a specialization standpoint, as you continue to go and grow, you're going to specialize. Your path in is going to be very different than somebody else's is. A chemist will be their path through prompt engineering will be different than what an educator's would be or what a marketer's would be, because they'll have different needs. They'll have different, many of the skills will be the same, but the language and the acronyms will be different. And how to get to certain points will be different. So and we were already seeing that, right? I mean, I've seen that just in the time that I've been working with educators and working with entrepreneurs. I mean, there's a different language that's spoken in both. Okay, so here's the status slide, right? The summary slide. So wrapping up, right? We've got essential skills, collaboration, start creating. Okay, let's talk about our homework. So what I'd like for you to do today, tonight, tomorrow, whenever, it shouldn't take you too long, is I'd like for you to create a output. First of all, finish your previous days at homework. So I'll cover the next 2 slides, and Blonde will send those out to you separate from the PDF when she sends her email out today. We will send those out. So those So do your yesterday's homework if you haven't already. And then the second thing is create an outline for your book, right? An outline should be at least 3 levels. So what do I mean by 3 levels? The number 2 that I have there, create an outline of your book. The outline should be at least 3 levels. That's level 1. Then you should have another level, level 2. And then if I had done this right, this would have been an A, right? So I want 3 levels deep on your outline for your book. Okay. So, and of course, I don't just want one under each one, right? We want multiples. I'll leave that to you to figure out. But I'd like for you to create an outline of your book for your book. Go through, iterate on it, get it as good as you think you can get it for today, right? This is just a draft. And then I'd like for you to send it to, don't send it to me, that's an error. Send it to Blonley at Blonley at, I cannot remember, fasttrack.com, I think. I'll put that in the chat. Is Blonley there by chance? Blonley, if you're there, can you put your email in the thing, in the chat for him? Thank you. So there's a question in the chat. I would suppose to use one of the tools on the InnoPower platform. That is up to you. If you'd like to use you go in and use one of the large language models, right? ChatGPT or Claude. You can, I would like for you to use those, but you can also use, if you've already got a subscription or access to Copilot or one of those, you can feel free to use that as well. Yes, I'll be glad to explain the 3 levels again. So in the 3 levels of homework, or in the 3 levels of the outline, in this case, I have a number 1 and number 2. And so what I would like for you to do is create your outline to where there's at least 3 levels. Number 2, then another level, and then another level, right? So you've got this level is going to be more deep, is going to break this one down into multiple smaller pieces. And then each one of those I want broken down into smaller pieces. I'll leave to you the number of pieces under each level. That's up to you. It could be 2, could be 3, could be 4, could be 10, whatever, however detailed you want to get. Any other questions? Thanks again, Blonley, for putting I can never remember the virtual part of that, of your email. Okay. Anything else? All right. Look for our email.
I have a question, Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
You stated here that we need to create an outline for a book. Does it necessarily have to be a book? Because my homework is not book related. So
what is it related to?
Does it have to? So mine is to do with my business. So it's around developing a coaching program. So can it be that, or does it have to be a book?
Yes, it can be that. That's a great point. If you're doing something other than a book, you're doing a marketing plan or a coaching program or developing your own premier product, and you're going to build out a plan to go do that, that works as well, right? You still would want to use an outline though, right?
Yes, I will have an outline, but I just wanted to clarify because when you reference a book specifically.
Yep. Yeah, I misspoke there. I had forgotten that we had talked about that yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, it can be it can be any kind
Any
of
product.
document. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And by the way, I didn't think about this. I hope you, just so everybody knows, when you hear me say this, you'll understand where I'm coming from. It's a 60-year-old habit. When I say yes, ma'am, ma'am is a token
I
of
know. I
respect.
know. I haven't taken it to mean anything other than exactly what it is. So yes,
Good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have a story, a quick story. I was in Australia, and the lady that I was running a large consulting group, and I was meeting with the executive vice president of Westpac Bank, which Westpac is a huge Australian bank. And so I'm talking to her, and she said something, and she asked me a question. I said, yes, ma'am. And she got this funny look on her face. And luckily, I was good friends with the Accenture partner who was there. Right, I was with a different company, but he and I both had developed a great working relationship. And he realized right away, because in Australia, grandmother is often referred to as mom. And that's what she heard. She thought I was calling her a grandmother or granny. And I was so embarrassed. So I still use that term because I've used it for 60 years. It's really meant as a sign of respect. It's not something that I'm not calling people grandmothers or anything like that. That's not my intent. So anyway, he bailed me out of that. So as I said that, as I was talking to you, I wanted to make sure I was clear on that. So
I completely get it. So thank you very much.
sure. Any other questions?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just related to the last speaker's comment, I'm not writing a book. Rather, what I'm doing is creating like a word cloud for myself in terms of just, creating a kind of platform where I can come up every day to put in a word. And I named it I Amness. So I don't know if this works with the homework that you're giving us to.
Is your word cloud going to be, is it a product or what is it?
Well, okay, so I want to be able to, on a daily basis, put in affirmative words into maybe an app or like a chat that now comes up like the way you have a word cloud that I can print up at the end of maybe a year, a month.
Mm-hmm.
And put up somewhere and just kind of build up over a period of time. It could be a product at the end of the day, but right now I'm still playing with it as an individual project on my own.
Yeah. So I think that would work I think that would work. You're still going to have to lay out what capabilities you want, right? What this is going to do. What things do you need to put in place? I think that would work. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions before we end the call? All right. Well, with that.
Good evening, Chris.
Good evening.
Yes. Sorry, I lost connection a bit earlier. So everybody has to write an outline of a book?
So your capstone project is to create something that is of substance. So it could be a book. It could be a marketing plan. It could be you're going to create maybe you've got a coaching program if you're a coach, that you're going to put together a new coaching program. It could be that you're going to write. I've had people write grants. I've had people write Like I said,
That's
marketing
me.
plans,
So
strategy.
grants,
Sorry.
mine is grants, good lecture notes,
Okay.
comprehensive lecture notes.
Okay. So you could, to do that, you're going to create some kind of outline, right? You're going to create a series of things that you want in it and add more detail to it, and then start writing your grant.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. A grant, by the way,
Understood.
one of my bosses did grants, and what he did is he took, and you'll know this by the end of the course, he took 10 of his best grants that he wrote. He uploaded them and created a custom GPT, which we will do. And then he took that custom GPT and used it to write grants. When he got a grant proposal, he'd literally take the PDF from the grant, upload it, and ask it, the grant writer, to then fill out the grant for him. And it would do 80% of the work for him. And it'd take what used to take him, take him 3 or 4 days, he could now do in 3 or 4 hours. So there's a lot of things you can do with it like that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Going once. Going twice. Okay, look for our emails, and Belangle will get those out here in just a little bit. And we will see everybody tomorrow.
I have a question, please.
You're too late. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, as a follow-up to the last question about the grants, I was made to believe that if you used AI to write your grant, that when you submit it, it is going to be obvious that it was written by AI, and I was told not to do that. So I'm actually surprised to hear that we can actually use AI to write grants. So I don't know if you'll be.
So I have my opinions, right? And so my opinion is that when I say you're using AI to write the grant, you're using AI to write the foundational part of the grant.
Okay.
Right. And use it to, well, first of all, you can upload the grant. If you've got a grant, say in a grant information sheet or whatever, that's, in a PDF, you could upload that and then just start asking it questions. What's this grant about? What are the restrictions? What are the requirements? Does this grant match back to what my programs are? How might I respond to this grant given what the grant or the creators of the grant are looking for compared to my programs? And then use it to say, okay, now let's create an outline for section 1, create an outline for section 2, create an outline for section 3, right? And then go through and then say, all right, write the first draft of section 1 based on the information you got. And then you go in and you modify it.
Okay.
Right? You do not ever, in my opinion, you do not ever copy and paste the grant into a grant format, right? Because you have to make, and being human-centered AI, you are the key piece. You're going to look at it, make sure it sounds like you, make sure it represents what you want it to say, that it represents your values and ethics, right? What do you want that to come through with the grant, because that's what makes you different from every other person that's applying for the grant is you, right? And your organization, what your value and ethics are, how you approach things, what your experiences are. You want to make sure it's got that right. So you use it to help you get started on it and to create various pieces of it. But at the same time, you don't just take it and say, you don't spit it in, you don't go up to the vending machine and put a quarter in and get a grant out. That's not that. If you do that, yeah, you're probably going to not get the grant. You're probably not going to get awarded the grant.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sure. And by the way, I was kidding when I said you're out of time. You're too late. That was supposed to be a joke. But some of my jokes fall on death. Some of my jokes, I fall flat on my face. So My kids say they're dad jokes. Anything else? Hello?
Yes. Hi.
Just can I
Thank you
ask?
so much for the session. I wanted to ask, what format should we send the outline on? Did you just paste it on the email or put in a Word document, PDF? What format do you want it?
Whatever's easiest for you. So if it's easier for you to put it in a Word document, that's easy. I mean, that's good for us. If it's easier for you to if it's easier for you to put it in a Google Doc or a Google Sheet, do that. If it's easier for you just to copy and paste it into an email, do that. I'll look at it in whatever format you do. You've got it. I don't want to make it any more harder on you than what it needs to be. And Emil
Thank
is,
you.
you're welcome. Emil is right, just letting me know too, that yeah, so Emil's reminding me that I need to clarify what I meant by custom GPT. A custom GPT is where you come in and you basically take and train, you put some information, a prompt into a special part of Chat GPT or into an agent. And then you can then call that agent or use that agent to do things over and over again. Like we were having a conversation about writing grants, right? If you built a custom agent that did your grants for you, you would go in and you could go in and use it for this grant. And then 2 weeks later, you get another application you want to submit. You could reuse it. You don't have to go back and relearn or refigure out how you did that, how you wrote that grant, all the things you did. So it could go through and kind of step you through it. It could step you through it. Yeah, we'll talk about Notebook LM here soon. And we'll talk about how we're going to do, how you can upload your own materials, right? So we'll do a special thing on Notebook LM because that's Emil loves it and it's one of my favorite tools. So we'll cover that in one of our upcoming sessions when we talk about tools. And hopefully Emil can come tomorrow at 1 and give us kind of a talk for a few minutes about himself and about InnoPower and what we're trying to do. So with that, there are no more questions. I just remind you before I hang up here that please be sure, if you haven't already, Blonde just put in the attendance registration. So be sure you click that and let us know you were here. And with that, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We
Thank
appreciate
you
you.
very much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
We appreciate you, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
See you coming down.
You're welcome. Evidently, we had a young
Okay.
person in here.
Yes, you do.
Go like a
The
t-shirt.
start of the class.
Somebody's starting them awful young, right? The earlier, the better. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end the call. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Chris.
Bye.